It couldn't have been a more perfect opening weekend in Atlanta. The Braves got a little bit of everything. They used the long ball. They got great starting pitching. And their relievers shut the door as Atlanta swept the Milwaukee Brewers. Now the Braves open a 3-game set against the Mets with a little revenge in mind after New York swept Atlanta last weekend in the Big Apple. These National League Eastern rivals face off again as we open up a 3-gamer from Turner Field. All roads lead to Turner Field in Atlanta, where the red-hot Atlanta Braves are ready to go in Game 1 of a 3-game series with their divisional arch rivals, the New York Mets. What was a beautiful day has turned cloudy and a little bit rainy at the ballpark. Slight drizzle is beginning to fall as the Mets are in town for the first time here in the 2012 campaign in Atlanta. Hi again, friends. Look who we found. It's Tom Glavine along with Joe Simpson and yours truly, Chip Carey at the ballpark. Weather permitting, a fun pitching matchup tonight. Dylan G for the Mets. Tommy Hanson pitching again against New York.
Talk about Dylan G. First of all, this is a guy that made 6 starts against Atlanta last year. He went 2-1, and the Braves only hit .231 against him. He dominated them the first 4 starts. The last 2, the Braves began to figure some things out. He's a fastball, curveball, changeup guy. Lost his first start to Washington, pitched 5 1/3 innings. Let's hope what they learned last year will help tonight and get the Braves back in the win column against the Mets.
And for the Braves, Tommy Hanson coming off a win, his last start down in Houston, and threw the ball well. Strikeout totals were up, but I think for Tommy and the Braves, the one thing they're going to want to see out of him is to get that walk count down a little bit. He's got 6 walks in his first 2 games. Certainly not the kind of thing you want to be doing too often. It's understandable this time of the year, but I think that's one thing you're going to want to see him cut down on a little bit, and I think that'll go a long way towards cutting down on his pitch count as well.
And get Tommy Hanson deeper into the ball game, which has been a big story for the Braves the last couple of times out as they just came off a sweep against the Milwaukee Brewers. And speaking of sweeps, Braves owe the Mets a little payback. Braves were swept in the opening series of the year up at Citi Field. We'll talk about what went wrong and what we hope goes right down here in Atlanta when we come right back. foreground. He's the head groundskeeper here at Turner Field. A light misting rain falling as the Mets and Braves get set for Game 1 of our 3-game series tonight. Fellas, we mentioned before we went to our first commercial break about how Braves owe the Mets a little payback. The New Yorkers were not very kind hosts up at Citi Field, were they?
They were hotly contested games. The Braves lost one game 1-0, and then they lost by 2 runs in the other 2 games. But the bottom line was the Braves didn't hit a lick, especially with men in scoring position when they did get some guys on base.
And maybe even to take that bottom line a step further, the bottom of that graphic, Chipper Jones not in the lineup in that series in New York. He loves the Mets. He's had great numbers in his career against the Mets, so that could be a big difference here in this series in Atlanta.
Sounds like a plan, fellas. Hopefully Mother Nature will cooperate, too, as the Braves and Mets continue this great National League Eastern Division rivalry. The Mets are 6-3 on the year. Braves 5-4, but winners of their last 5 in a row. See if the Braves can make it a Sweet 6 when we come right back. Back in Atlanta, getting us set for the Braves and the Mets. Game 1 of the series. And Jason Hayward's hitting everything right now, isn't he, Tom Hart?
With the Braves' 5-game win streak, but one change in the lineup tonight. Eric Hinske gets his first start of the season at first base. Of course, he appeared in 12 games there last year. When asked about a pregame, Freddie Gonzalez said, "Why did I make the change?" Well, I got a lot of tweets about it last night. That was a joke. What wasn't a joke is that Hinske was the last position player to come off the bench to get his first start. He said, "Freddie Freeman just needed a breather. We're entering a stretch of 13 straight. I want to get him on the bench, give him a chance to relax." The timing is pretty good. Freddie was hitless in that Milwaukee series, so let's see what Hinske can do tonight.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Braves and Tommy Hanson take the field, getting ready for first pitch. Here's how Terry Collins in the Mets lineup. Again, New York has won 6 of its first 9 games. Ruben Tejada leads off. Daniel Murphy, a Braves killer, hits second. David Wright with a broken pinky finger. Don't know it. Wright leads all of baseball with 20 or more at-bats and batting average so far this season. Lucas Duda, Tolley, and Nieuwenhuis in the bottom part of the Mets lineup card.
Tommy Hanson on the mound for his 3rd start. His last start came in Houston, and it was a win. Oddly, he didn't pitch as well as he did in the first start this year against the Mets, but he won the game at Houston with that line. And against the Mets in opening day, he lost to Santana 1-0. 5 innings, he only gave up 1 run. But as Tom said, he walked 3. And that leads us to his 4 keys to success tonight. He's got to cut down on his walks, and that will lead to a lower pitch count, hopefully. And then Tolley. Really? Yeah, Josh Tolley is just tearing the Braves up, and he's beating up on Tommy Hanson. He's 8 for 18 with a homer, and I know he bats down in the order, but one of the things Toley's been doing is really beating the way the Braves set up their defense for him by going the other way. He's getting a lot of base hits to left field.
The old hit it where they ain't, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Doing it pretty well.
There's your umpiring crew. Mike Everett, Paul Schreiber, Tim Welke, and Mike Estabrook. Late addition to this crew. Laz Diaz was originally scheduled, but Laz not here tonight against the Mets. And Tejada takes ball one, and we're underway at Turner Field. Tejada at 294, 3 RBIs. He had 4 hits against the Braves up in New York. Remember, the Mets' original leadoff man was Andres Torres. He came up lame in a game up at Citi Field, re-injured a calf muscle and had to come out of the ball game. That forced Tejada into the leadoff spot for New York. And now 2 balls and a strike. Cloudy skies. Rain is all but stopped. Very comfortable 70 degrees. Forecast tonight for scattered showers.
Don't want any more rain here at the ballpark, but the people in Atlanta were welcoming the rain earlier this afternoon to try to do something about the pollen, which has been so bad.
Popped up. Jason Hayward on the run, slowing near the stands. He cannot get there in time. And he's upset with himself. He thinks he had a play on that ball. There's the Atlanta outfield defense. Jason in right, Prado in left, Bourne in center. Jack Wilson gives Tyler Pasternicki the day off. Eric Hinsky, as Tom Hart mentioned, in for Freddie Freeman at first.
I think had that pregame rain not been here, Chip, I think you're right. I think Jason might have had a little bit more of a play on that ball, but with it being wet like it is, it's awful tough play to go full tilt and then pull up if you don't think you can get there.
In center, Michael Bourne tracks it down, 1 down.
If Tommy's able to cut down on his walks and throw a few more early strikes early in the count, that'll be a good thing, because the Mets are #1 in the National League in the percentage of pitches taken. They're right at 60% of the pitches that are delivered to them they take a look at.
And when he's playing the Braves, this guy likes what he sees. Daniel Murphy has really hit the Braves hard. He slashes the first pitch foul to the left side. He was 5 for 13 up in New York.
As we said then, a good looking hitter, wide stance, really uses his hands well, uses the whole field too. Hits it wherever you throw it.
You say it's to look at him, it's probably with his hands way out where you see him, it's probably not the kind of batting stance that you would be quick to teach somebody, but you're right, Joe, it's spread out, and it's pretty simple. There's not a lot of moving parts.
Two balls and a strike. Any special way, Tommy, you can attack a guy with a stance like Murphy's?
No, I don't know that there's one set way, and clearly he's shown that there's not one set way the way he's hit the ball, but typically your left-handed hitters are good low ball hitters, but with his hands up there, I'm not sure.
Picture him, picture Michael Morse with Washington in reverse. You know how he holds his hands way out away from him, but Murphy does the same thing Morse does, and that is he brings his hands back to a more standard starting position and hitting position, much like Morse does too. That's where he starts, way out away from him.
Murphy fought off a breaking ball and stays alive at 2-2.
A curveball left upstairs that he'd like to have another crack at.
He got another one and was out in front of it, and he hits it a mile foul.
If you were with us for any of those games in New York, we were talking about how they'll live with his defense because he's such a solid hitter. He's made 2 errors so far. Not too bad in 9 games, but his defense is the one thing he's really got to work on.
And Uggla at second. Murphy is the second out. And now David Wright steps in. A whopping .571 batting average. As I mentioned earlier, among players in the big leagues with 20 or more at-bats, that's the highest batting average in baseball.
And not a bad series in Philadelphia after he broke his pinky finger on his right hand too. 5 for 9 with a homer.
It'll be an interesting year to watch him. I know he wasn't happy with the year he had last year, and I know a lot of people were talking about the year he had last year. I'm sure he spent a lot of time this winter thinking about that and wanting to get things back on track, not only in his mind but to get some of the detractors off him a little bit.
David had 6 hits and 9 tries against the Braves in New York, including a home run. And Joe, the home run you mentioned he hit in Philly was in his first at bat back from the broken pinky.
Kind of Chipper Jones like, huh?
And he keeps up where he left off against the Braves, right with a 2-out single up the middle.
David Wright, when he's going right, is using the whole field and bounced that one right back through the middle. When he hurt himself, he was diving back to first. He didn't hit the dirt first. Looked like he was probably stealing and got caught leaning, but he went right into the bag and jammed his hand in there, and that's what broke his little finger.
So he's aboard for Ike Davis, the Mets first baseman. 125 average, a homer, 2 RBIs. Ike homered yesterday, his first since May 9th of last year. It's because of a gruesome ankle injury he suffered. And Tommy falls behind him, ball 1.
Well, he had a horrible series against the Braves up there to start his season. 0 for 11 with 5 strikeouts. He's got 11 strikeouts now and 32 at bats.
Little squibber hit toward Uggla, and that takes care of New York. First time in 4 games the Mets haven't scored in the opening inning. That's good news for Tommy Hanson. Braves are coming up against Dylan G at home. Works the scoreless first. Now the Braves take aim at right-hander Dylan G as they meet New York for the 4th time this season. A couple of changes to the Atlanta lineup. Most notably at the bottom portion of the lineup card, Eric Hinsky in at first base, Jack Wilson at shortstop. Nights off for Freddie Freeman and Tyler Pasternicki as Tommy Hansen pitches and hits ninth.
Dylan G's out of University of Texas at Arlington, a 21st round pick in 07 by the Mets, 25 years old, 6'1", 205. There's his line against Washington in that 6-2 loss in his first start. 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, however. And again, has pitched real well against the Braves most of his young career. This is his second year in the big leagues. Looked a lot better last year before the thing on his chin developed.
The Jeff Bagwell, Lou Albano thing?
Yeah. Lou Albano, I like that. His 4 keys to success: grab a rubber band, put it around his beard. No, more curveballs. He's mostly a fastball changeup guy, but he's beginning to throw more curveballs because he's getting a lot of swings and misses, and he's 8-3 lifetime on the road.
Murphy to a knee, takes care of Michael Bourne, 1 out. Here's the Mets defensive lineup. Bay, Neuenhuis, and Duda in the New York outfield. Davis can really pick it at first. David Wright's at third, of course. Josh Tolley works behind the plate.
Yeah, they've only made 5 errors. Done a good job behind their pitchers.
Martin Prado at 286 for the season. Homer and 2 RBIs. And outside for ball 1. Davis gets the big hop. And 2 are out for Chipper Jones. Or as they might say in New York, Joe, Terry Collins' worst nightmare.
Terry saw him stretching in New York, even though he wasn't going to play. Chipper was still on the disabled list, and Collins says, "What are you here, just to torment people?"
Well, he sure did torment Milwaukee. And now facing the club that, Tommy, you know very well, he loves to face.
Boy, it's just that team that when he shows up, good things happen.
Chipper this year, a couple of home runs, 5 RBIs. He's got a 3-game hitting streak. And thought about home run number 3 and missed it as we look at our Academy Sports and Outdoor leaderboard.
1 behind Mike Schmidt, and a few to go to catch Willie Stargell.
Chipper checked to swing, 2-2. And Dylan G will get 3 soft groundouts to retire the Braves in the bottom of our first inning. Part by Academy Sports and Outdoor. By Academy Sports and Outdoors, by AT&T, by Delta Airlines, and by Ford. Chip, Joe, and Tom squared with you at the ballpark. Tom Glavine and Tom Hart. Meth Keener's alongside as well. No scores. We head to Jason Bay. The Mets left fielder starts things off.
Had Dale Murphy yesterday, got Tom tonight. I think Del Crandall will be here tomorrow.
Well, if he is, it's going to be a crowded booth. There'll be 4 of us here.
And fouled away by Jason Bay, who hasn't gotten going yet for New York. He's hitting a .185. Bay with 11 strikeouts in his first 27 at bats.
And he's got a broken finger. As if he didn't have enough troubles.
When it rains, it pours.
Or as they said in the New York papers, the fickle finger of fate made its way to Jason Bay, too. It's Bay's right ring finger. And Joe's a right-hand hitter. That top hand, what does that do on a swing?
Here's how he hurt it. First of all, got blocked off the bag over there at first base. He slid right into the first baseman's foot. You know, with the right pinky finger for David Wright on his top hand, he can actually do some things to kind of keep it from out of harm's way by actually taking it off the bat. Ring finger's a little harder to do. That's going to get kind of mashed from the torque of the swing. I'm sure it's painful.
Hansen has his first strikeout of the day as Lucas Duda steps in. Davis, Bay, and Duda, 3 very powerful hitters, but 3 guys that will strike out a lot and have struck out a lot this year. Duda 12 times in his first 33 at bats. But he's got some pop, already 3 homers.
I think with those new fences at Citi Field, with this guy's power, I think he's a 30 home run guy very easily for him. They don't want him to hit something below 250, but they could sure live with it if he's going to provide that kind of power.
Low and in, 3 balls and a strike. Popped him up. That's playable for Chipper. He'll backpedal a few steps. 2 up, 2 down to the Mets second. And here's that man, Josh Thole, the catcher.
Well, let's see how the defense sits up for him on the left side of the infield. Outfield plays him around like they should. Swung around to left field. And I don't know that Jack Wilson's as far up the middle as they had Pasternicky playing in New York. But still, that's the area. He likes to pepper that ball to left field.
And he sprays one toward left center and deep. Bourne going back, tracks it down, and makes a fine running catch to retire the side. Tommy Hansen has a perfect top of the second inning, and we remain scoreless. Second inning. Let's check in with Beth Keener here at the ballpark tonight.
Thanks, Chip. I'm hanging out here at the stadium, but I am also on Twitter with the fans, and they have a question for you guys in the booth. Bama Fan 08 says, who has been the most surprising Braves so far? What do you guys think?
Well, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but you got to go with Jason Hayward, don't you?
Yeah, and I don't want it to sound like an insult to Jason either that we're surprised.
Brian McCann beats the shift on the first pitch he sees in the second inning. That's not a surprise that Brian picks up another hit.
No, I say that knowing that we've seen Jason do it before. We're just pleased to see him back in form more than anything else. I think maybe if there's a surprise, it might be Mike Minor, that he's come as far as he has in a short period of time, especially the way he pitched his last start.
Quit kissing up to the left-handed pitcher in the booth, will you please?
No, I agree with you, though. I mean, it does sound like it's kind of a backhanded compliment in Jason's regard. But, you know, look, I mean, I think all eyes were on him this year. He was certainly at least one of the 2 or 3 guys that everybody was pointing at saying had to bounce back. And so far he has. And good for him. Good for the Braves.
First pitch to Dan Uggla is a called strike over the inside corner. Uggla at 206, no homers, 4 runs batted in. Popped up and playable at first and foul ground for Ike Davis. 1 on, 1 out, and here is Jason Hayward, sporting a nifty 5-game hitting streak.
Before we get to Jason, I want to take a look at this last pitch to Dan Uggla. They started him with a strike up and in on the first pitch, and it's rare that a team will go right back and double up on Dan with a fastball, but they did in again. And you saw Josh Tolley kind of giving that high sign, that letter high sign, or target rather, and they went right back after him. And teams usually don't do that with Uggla.
Ball 1 to Jason Hayward. For more on Jason's start, let's check in again with Tom.
Hey, thanks, Chip. You know, one of the biggest influences on Jason Hayward this year has been hitting coach Greg Walker, not just the way Walker approaches the game, but specifically some of the drills that he's brought with him. One of those is the always common flip drill. A lot of ball clubs, as you guys well know, take flips in the cage where you can't follow the flight of the ball. The way the Braves do it this year is they do it on the field. That is a daily occurrence for Hayward. It not only helps him with his performance, but also maintaining his swing, which is a key for him. And he was out there once again today getting early work in. And Chip, it was mentioned to you, he's a guy that maybe doesn't gets mad when he gets frustrated. He's more even keel this year a little bit.
Yeah, that's what Freddie Gonzalez said to us a couple of days ago about Jason Hayward. Any hitter who goes 0 for 4 is certainly going to be angry. But Jason's not frustrated, guys, because he's got a plan that's working and he's willing to stick with that plan of attack when he goes to the plate day after day.
The frustration is not going 0 for 4. It's going 3 days in a row 0 for 4 or 1 for 15, which is what he had to battle last year. And that'll get everybody irritated. Or I should say anybody irritated.
You know, one of the things that's so hard to really quantify with Jason is how much of the struggles for him last year was just simply because, you know what, he's never had to deal with anything like that before. And when you go through it for the first time in your life, it's a tough thing to deal with, particularly when you're doing it at this level.
Runner goes, it's fouled away.
You know, and I know, again, I harken back to my own career. You know, everybody always used to ask me about my first year in the big leagues. I lost 17 games. And my approach was, you know what? I learned more about myself and I learned more about pitching in that year than I would have having a good year at the AAA level. And I think as long as you try to use it to the positive and work on things.
How about that? Hayward fills the gap and Brian McCann's going to end up at third base. 6-game hitting streak for Jason Hayward.
You know, but you try to keep the positive things. You try to keep working on those things. And like Joe said, there's a big difference between being mad because you went 0 for 4 or being mad because as a pitcher you had a bad game than it is to be frustrated. When you get frustrated, it tends to be more of a long-term thing. And I think for Jason, look, he hears it, he knows it, he's trying to deal with it the best he can. And right now, the best thing he can do is get out there and get after it day after day after day and get into a routine, and it's paying off for him.
Eric Hinske bats with runners at the corners and only 1 out. Braves looking to score the game's first run. The other great thing I thought about Jason Hayward was, let's be honest, the kid was hurt last year, and not once do I remember Jason using being injured as an excuse for what he would say would be a subpar year.
Yeah, to piggyback on what Tom said, I think he had to deal with trying to figure out how much is too much. How much can I play and tolerate it? And then how much do I play and actually make it worse, you know, and hurt the team? And he was trying not to come out of the lineup and deal with it. And as a young player, that's a hard thing to do, too.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to play this game hurt. It's a little bit easier to figure out how to do it when you're a veteran player. Real tough to do when you're a young player.
1 strike to Hinske. And Eric takes off the plate for an even count.
A veteran player in Jason's case last year could go into the manager and say, hey, you know what? I'm okay for about 4 at-bats, but I can't go out and take batting practice and still be all right during the game. I need to take a break on the BP.
Ooh. Hinske looked that one low and away. 2 balls and a strike.
Sherwin-Williams painting the corners here on her Fox tracks. Change up, a little bit low. Good call there by Mike Everett. Scouting report on G said that about those curveballs, about throwing more, is that where he used to throw 5 or 6 a game, just more as something else for the hitters to think about. He's throwing 20, 25 a game on a 100-pitch basis, about 1/4 of the time.
Would he throw one 3-1 to Hinske? It missed inside, and the bases are loaded. McCann's at third, Jason Hayward to second, Hinske at first. Tolley to the mound to talk it over as Jack Wilson looks for his first hit of the year.
And it was this type of situation or this type of inning that the Braves were not able to capitalize on in New York. They're swinging the bats a whole lot better. They got Chipper back in the lineup, and let's hope that the results are different too.
Braves are hitting .216 this year with runners in scoring position. They're 2 for 6 this year with the bases loaded. And Wilson, a little chopper, slowly hit toward Murphy. He'll have only 1 play, and it's to first. And infield out for Wilson. Plates Brian McCann, and the Braves lead 1-0.
There's a funny stat on Jack Wilson. He still doesn't have a hit this year. He's 0 for 8. But he's got 3 RBIs now. Another good stat for the Braves is that they've only hit into 2 double plays so far on the year, and that's best in the National League. Mets are tied for 3rd. They've hit into 9. The worst is Miami. They've hit into 12.
So Tommy Hanson bats. Chance to really help himself. First run's always a big one, isn't it, Tommy?
Well, it is. You always want to get off to a good start early. You always want to get your team the lead early, give your starting pitcher an opportunity to pitch with a little bit of a cushion. And you know, for Tommy right here, that's a big at bat. He's got an opportunity to try and help himself, but at the same time, you don't want to be over anxious. You'd love to get Michael Bourne back up there.
That's fouled at the plate. 1-2.
For Dylan G right now, you're thinking bases loaded, 1 out. You get out of this thing with 1 run. You've managed the inning pretty well. You've kept things under control, and you figure offensively your guys are going to get you more than 1 run.
Back into the seats, foul again by Tommy. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And that will retire the side. You're right, Tommy. Dylan G managed the second very well, but the Braves managed to score the game's first run. Brian McCann scores it, and Atlanta leads 1-0 after 2. To our third inning, friends, get your tickets for the 2012 Braves Hall of Fame luncheon. Braves great John Smoltz will be inducted into the Braves Hall of Fame on June 8th at the Omni Hotel. Members of the 2012 Braves team and the Braves Hall of Famers will be on hand, and all guests will have a current or former Braves player or coach at their table. Call 404-614-2310 for more information or to order your tickets today. And congratulations, John, entering the Braves Hall of Fame.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
As good a big game pitcher as there has been in baseball.
Yeah, he, you get asked that question all the time. Well, if you had to win one game, who would you want pitching? And of course, you always want yourself out there, but Smoltz would be my guy if I couldn't pick myself, that's for sure.
Great starting pitcher, great relief pitcher, and a great joke teller.
Well, gone too far again.
And as our good friend Greg Maddox would say, but not so great in the hair department.
Kirk Neuenhuis leads things off. I did talk to John. He did want me to thank all the Braves fans out there for their congratulatory well wishes. He also had a joke or two if you're interested.
I'm really not.
That would be pretty unanimous.
Well, tough. How did the hamburger introduce his girlfriend? Meet Patty. That was the best he had to offer.
Yeah, please.
That is so Smoltzy.
So, John, congrats. Can't wait to see you here at the ballpark. And well-deserved place will be taken in the Braves Hall of Fame on the 8th.
What did he win? 24 games that year he won the Cy Young?
Yeah, what did he, like 24-2 or something crazy like that?
Unbelievable.
Neuenhuis takes a walk, a leadoff walk. And Dylan G, the pitcher, will have a chance to bunt him over perhaps. And time for the ATT Universe trivia question. John Smoltz became the 16th member of the 3,000 strikeout club in April of 2008. Of the 16 3,000 strikeout men, who walked the fewest hitters?
Don Sutton might be a good choice there. Greg Maddox would be an excellent choice.
He seems too obvious.
And a pickoff play. The ball bounced into the stands, bounced back out of the stands. And a throwing error moves Neuenhuis to second base. That might have picked off Eric Hinske too.
I think it was just a horrible throw, which it was. The unfortunate part is that if they were trying to bunt Neuenhuis over, now they can bunt him over to third and have an easier time of it trying to tie this game up.
And there is the bunt, and it's perfect. Wet baseball, no trouble for Chipper Jones. That's a 5-4 sacrifice. Runner at third with one out. 96, John Smoltz, 24 wins, 8 losses.
I was a little off on the losses, but still a pretty good year.
It's a really good job there by Dylan G, who had 8 sacrifice bunts last year.
It was textbook right there. Make the third baseman field it. Very well done. I'm going to go, since we're playing the Mets, I might throw Seaver or Pedro Martinez out there.
On the walks?
Yeah.
Here's Tejada. Ground ball to Wilson at short. Braves will concede the run. And the game's tied 1-1. Tejada's 4th RBI. And Joe mentioned walks for Hansen. His first leads to the first Met run.
Yeah, Tommy can blame himself for that run. The walk and the throwing error.
And as a pitcher, that's the last thing you want to do is give up the lead after your team's gotten you a lead, but certainly doing it that way, walking the 8th place hitter and then having a throwing error and making it that much easier.
Strike to Danny Murphy, who grounded out his first time up. Murphy's hit in, or excuse me, has been on base in 8 of the first 9 Mets games this year. Big hop for Hinske. He'll take it to the bag himself. That retires New York in the 3rd inning. Game tied 1-1. Top of the Braves order coming up at home. By the Georgia Lottery, by Honda Lawn and Garden, and by Ram Trucks. Top of the order for Atlanta. It starts with Michael Bourne in a tie game, 1-1 your score. Tommy Hansen for the Braves. Dylan G pitching for New York. Michael's bat's starting to heat up just a touch.
Yeah, he had a good series against Milwaukee.
Brings a 3-game hitting streak into play tonight. Two and two. That got the inside corner, and Michael didn't like that call. Was it a strike?
Sherwin-Williams painting the corners. Mike Everett gave him a little room there. Michael Bourne was right. Had to back up a two-seamer, and it did back up some, but didn't get the plate.
Yeah, it says he likes to do that in the scouting report to left-handed hitters, and it's a good pitch, probably a little bit off the plate, but as I say, I guess with the 2 strikes, a little too close to take. Of course, as far as I'm concerned, it caught all kinds of the plate, but you know, that's just a pitcher talk.
No balls and a strike to Martin Prado.
Freddie Gonzalez has said before he likes umpires that call strikes because it makes for a better game. Hitters know that. They go up there, they're more aggressive.
And slicing toward the seats foul. 1-2.
I don't know a fan that's ever bought a ticket that he can't wait to get to the ballpark and watch a bunch of free passes. Well, I hope they walk 6 tonight. I really like that.
Two and two.
He doubled up on that pitch with Ugla on his last at bat. We'll see if they try and do the same thing with Martin. He went up there, but by mistake.
And he's got a good fastball. We've been talking about his changeup and curveball, but he's a 91, 92 guy.
At short, charges, throws on the run for out number 2.
And with 2 out, time to take a look at our Georgia lottery hitting the jackpot. The Braves are the 6th team in Major League Baseball history to win 5 straight games after losing their first 4 of the year. And only one of 3 teams since 1942.
Chipper bats with 2 outs. Yeah, the last team before the Braves to do it was the '94 Pirates. They had a 6-game winning streak after an 0-4 start. The first team to do it was the 1895 Cleveland Spiders. Chopped off the plate. Chipper down the line. Tejada hits him by a step. And 3 up, 3 down in the 3rd inning.
I remember those old Cleveland Spiders uniforms. They like to wear throwback uniforms from 1877.
Hansen are dueling through 3 innings. David Wright is ready to lead things off. Tom Hart, he already has a hit tonight, and that's been the story since the opening bell for the Mets, hasn't it been?
It has been, Chip, and the key there is his plate discipline. According to the numbers by Pitch Effects, he's swinging at 9% fewer pitches out of the strike zone this year than he did the 2 years combined. Look at these numbers coming in. Of his 43 swings of strikes, he'd only missed 5. He has 10 singles and 2 home runs. Now today he's got 2 swings. He missed 1 strike. The other one that Hansen threw was out of the strike zone. He just watched that. His eye has been fantastic at the plate to start this season.
Makes contact with the first pitch from Tommy here in the 4th, but Jason Hayward's going to track it down. I guess it's safe to say that's a very high contact to damage ratio for David Wright.
Well, I agree. I mean, look, you get those stats sometimes, and I always wonder exactly what they mean. And does it mean that he's swinging at better pitches, or does he mean that he's making contact more often at the pitches that he's swinging at this year? I know this: the guy's a good hitter. He's a dangerous hitter, and it is the kind of thing that again, he played hurt last year. He had a broken back for a long portion of the year, and you just wonder how much of that affected what he was trying to do last year. But there's no question he's come into this season and gotten off to a good start, and those numbers certainly will indicate that. And I think, like just about anything else in this game, if he can stay healthy, then he's shown he has the ability to put up pretty darn good numbers for the course of the year.
Think how fortunate you were to be able to pitch for a team that has Chipper Jones at third base and David Wright at third base.
I tell you what, they're two guys that I've had the pleasure of having play behind me and watch hit, and 2 guys that I've had to pitch against. And you know what, they're fun to watch on a daily basis. They're good at what they do, and those guys are special, and they're fun every day.
Davis, Insky handles, Hansen to the bag. Davis's struggles continue. He's 4 for his first 34 at the plate. Fans, mark your calendars for the Braves Game on the Green Outdoor Festival, Saturday, April 21st at 6 p.m. at the Duluth Town Green. Come watch the Braves game on a huge outdoor movie screen with a live concert, inflatables for the kids, and a whole lot more. For more information, visit Braves.com/Game on the Green.
It'll be the Braves and the Diamondbacks.
That's a big road trip coming up for the Braves starting Thursday. Arizona and then the Dodgers.
The red hot LA Dodgers.
I guess all I had to do is get a little housekeeping taken care of, and they're off and running.
A fly foul by Bay. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Matt Kemp didn't win the MVP, but he's sure making an early push for it in 2012, isn't he? Yikes.
He might be saying, I didn't get it last year, but you're not going to overlook me this year.
Yeah, he said this year I'm going to try for a 50-50 season and see what happens. He's on a pace for something beyond that.
Kemp already with 6 home runs, leads the National League in batting average at .487 for the Dodgers. 16 RBIs. In fact, he and Ethier have combined to drive in 31 runs for Los Angeles. And Bay to straightaway center. Michael Bourne, plenty of room. And Hansen has a perfect top half of the 4th inning. Game still tied 1-1. Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you in part by Jameson Inn, by AT&T Uverse, and by Georgia Power. Brian McCann scored the lone run for the Braves tonight. He'll lead off the home half of the fourth inning. He'll be followed by Dan Uggla and Jason Hayward. Brian has 6 hits in his last 11 at bats. His average climbing now to the 300 mark. And a line drive handcuffed Tejada, but he hung with it for the first out.
Handcuffed him because he jumped and he didn't need to. Sinking line drive. Caught it chest high.
One away for Dan Uggla. Dan popped out his first and only time. Joe mentioned that G won 13 games last year. He began the season in great fashion. The Mets were a perfect 10-0 in his starts through June 15th last season. As Uggla is down swinging, and Joe, it seemed like every time we saw the Mets in a series, they saw Dylan G pitch.
Every single time. 6 starts against Atlanta last year. And he got off to that great start you're talking about, but his last 17 games, his ERA basically doubled. Teams began to become a little more familiar with the way he liked to work, and that was a little harder on him.
Might be part of the reason why he's going to his breaking ball a little bit more, try to make that adjustment.
Ball to Jason Hayward. He singled his first time. And had a good cut. 1 ball, 1 strike. Breaking ball, and Hayward was all over it. Jason's 2 for 2. And G goes back to the stretch for the first time since the 2nd inning.
Stayed back beautifully on this breaking ball. Another sign of adjustments he's made. Not pulling off the ball. He actually picked his foot up, put it down, and then just waited. Kept his hands back. Great adjustment. Again, that might have been a pitch last year that he already had opened up on and was trying to reach for it, rolled the pitcher or rolled one to second base.
Shift on for Hinske. Hayward's running. The pitch, a strike. Throw to second, off target. Jason Hayward's been a running man early. His 3rd steal in as many tries this year.
Good jump. Tolley's throw just a little bit to the third base side of the bag.
Joe, similar situation for Hinske here that we saw in Houston with the shift on. Big hole on the left side of the infield.
And he told us flat out against Wilton Lopez, I believe it was, that Wilton Gomez, that he was going to try to go that way. Didn't want to swing at the first couple of sinkers he threw him, hoping to get a pitch up. Try to hit it to left field.
Tolley kept it in front somehow. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's one weakness in Tolley's game. Led the National League in passed balls last year.
Watch how he tries to catch that low pitch, though. He turns his glove over and tries to backhand a ball right in front of him. He didn't go down and try to block it, and he did it earlier tonight. on the strikeout against Hansen. Same thing, but he was able to catch that one. We were watching him in a series at home against Washington about a week ago, and there were balls going everywhere because he was trying to backhand stuff that was right in front of him. Something we can keep an eye on during the course of this series. Here's the one against Hansen on the strikeout. Again, right in front of him. And he's turning the glove over backwards to catch it. And on occasion, we've seen him just pancake the ball or try to pancake the ball flat on the ground and have it go under him.
One and two with 2 out for Hinske. And again, time call.
With Jason stolen base, the Braves are now 7 for 9 in swipes.
Hinske lines to Davis. He hit it right on the screws, but Davis did not have to move a muscle. No runs, a hit, a man left. We're zipping right along through 4 innings. Game tied 1-1. House tonight, and we're tied 1-1 after 4 innings here at Turner Field. Tommy Hansen back to work with Lucas Duda, Josh Thole, and Kirk Neuenhuis coming up for the Mets.
It's a lot like the games in New York in that they were close ball games, and whoever made a mistake usually paid the price with a loss.
Foul away to the left. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Even when this guy hits a foul ball, it's loud.
Played his college ball at USC. In high school, had to go through Tommy John surgery. And then in college, in his early days, actually broke his wrist. Came back from that. He said hurting the wrist. Tommy helped teach him to hit the ball the other way a little more frequently in the college game. And Tommy Hanson got him with a breaking ball for his 7th straight. Met hitter retired, and the second by strikeout.
Good curveball right there. Tough pitch to, not only tough pitch to lay off, but both speed and break on that pitch, I think, fooled him, and just broken wrist or not, he wasn't staying on that ball long enough to hit it the other way.
Here's Tolley. Josh fly to center. A well hit ball. And in the dirt. Little flare. Wilson back at short is there. And quickly 2 outs as again we check in with Beth Keener.
I'm here in the Chop House, and it's a close game between the Braves and the Mets. Scott Stuckey made a great comment about Hanson on Twitter. He said he's holding his own, but he needs some run support. Thank you, Scott Stuckey, for your comment. Back to you guys.
All right, Beth, thank you very much. Yeah, Tommy at times has been the tough luck loser in his Braves career. Joe, a lot of 1-run losses.
2 to the Mets. So Scott's right. A little run support against New York would help. Including losing 1-0 opening day.
NYN takes called strike. He's the man called up when Andres Torres went to the disabled list. Picked up his first major league hit against Jair Jurgens and had a great line afterward. It was an infield hit. And was asked what he thought of the baseball. He said, well, it's awfully dirty with all the hops it took. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I bet he didn't clean it, as it's prominently displayed somewhere in his house.
He was hurt a lot of last year, even though he got off to a great start in AAA with the Mets. Injured in May, didn't play the rest of the year. Hurt his shoulder on a swing.
Fouled away, 2 balls, 2 strikes. The homer NYN hit came against Edwin Jackson on April 9th. A rare run given up by the Washington Nationals pitching staff.
A lot of people looking at that rotation as maybe one of the better ones, if not the best one in baseball. They're certainly living up to the billing so far.
Nationals lead the East with a 7-3 record and hosting Houston tonight. 2 balls, 2 strikes still to NYN.
Saw those initials on Tommy's glove. BMFT. That's from Brooks Conrad, who was always saying to Hanson, be my friend, Tom.
Tom, I think Joe's been hanging out with Smoltzy. Good pitch takes care of NYN. And the Mets are done in the 5th inning. Let's get Tommy some runs. As you see our score in the bottom of the fifth inning, log on now to foxsportssouth.com and experience it for yourself. Follow all the action with live stats and social media. Log on now to foxsportssouth.com's Game Connect. Nice crowd in Atlanta tonight. Beautiful weather at the moment. Little drizzly at the start of proceedings, but a comfortable night. As Jack Wilson, as the Braves RBI, is quickly down a strike. Jack drives one deep toward left. Back goes Bay at the wall, leaping, trying to get it. He did. What a catch by Bay to rob Jack Wilson. And he can't believe it.
An old teammate. Good grief. Jack's still looking for his first hit of the year, and then his old pal from Pittsburgh pulls this on him. You know, one of the very impressive things about that was that he never really looked to see where he was with respect to the wall. He was just tracking the baseball all the way and had a sense of where it was. What a play.
And that keeps the game tied at 1 as Jason Bay takes away what would have been Jack Wilson's first home run since August 27th of 2009. And he can't believe it.
Credit to Jason Bay, too. Even though he's not hitting the ball the way he wants to, there's a lot of things you can do on a baseball field to help your team win a game, and that's a big one right there.
Dylan G handles the hopper off the plate from Tommy Hanson, and there's a quick second out. Back to the ATTU versus trivia question. This was a tough one. 16 men, I believe, with 3,000 strikeouts. John Smoltz became the 16th member of that club in April of 2008. Of those 16, who recorded the fewest walks?
I got to go with Maddox.
Yeah, that's a good guess, but I'm gonna go with Pedro Martinez.
A quick strike to Michael Bourne, and the answer is
wow. It was not on my radar.
Nor mine.
way upstairs. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Slow roller toward Murphy at second. He's got it. And G, with a little help from his friend Jason Bay at left, has a tie game through 5. He robbed Jack Wilson of a solo home run. And we go to the 6th.
inning. Jason Bay certainly being congratulated by his teammates. Nice play out in left field. Let's go back to that trivia question if we can for just a second. Kurt Schilling, the fewest walks among any of the pitchers with 3,000 or more strikeouts. I picked Maddox, you picked Pedro. You were right. Pedro was second in that. Schilling had 711, Pedro 760. Now my argument on Maddox, who had 999, Schilling threw 3,261 innings, 3,261. Maddox 5,008 innings.
I
Little difference.
I think he would have caught him.
Yeah, I think he might have.
Yeah. Dylan G takes a strike from Tommy Hanson. G a sacrifice after a Tommy Hanson throwing error in the Mets' third inning led to the lone New York run tonight. Breaking ball. 4 strikeouts and 1 away in the 6th inning. Braves fans come out for the remaining 2 games of this series with the Mets. Night game tomorrow and a day game on Wednesday afternoon. Great ticket specials available. Coca-Cola 2 for $30 Tuesdays tomorrow. The SunTrust Business Fan Special on Wednesday. Get your tickets braves.com/tickets or by phone 800-745-3000. Tejada brought home Neuenhuis. Pops one over by the Braves dugout. No play for Hinsky, strike 1.
This is a little bit like the last 2 starts we've seen, guys. Minor had that stretch in his win where he retired 18 in a row in the middle innings. Yesterday, Beachy had a run of 11 in a row in his win over the Brewers. And Tommy Hanson at 10 in a row right here. He's only given up 1 hit. Just needs some runs.
Fly ball well hit left. Prado going back. He'll turn and watch that bounce off the base of the fence. And Tejada has the second Mets hit, a 1-out double here in the 6th inning. That's his 6th double already this season.
He's from Panama, and we've been talking a lot about how much Venezuela's producing players and really good players. All of a sudden, some good prospects and players coming out of Panama too, thanks to for the Braves to Johnny Alvarez, who's the director of their international scouting. But you think about Randall Delgado for Atlanta, and in the minor leagues, Christian Betancourt, the outstanding catcher. They're both from Panama.
Here's Daniel Murphy with 1 out. I believe Carlos Delgado was from Panama, was he not, with the Mets? I believe that's right.
I believe he was, yes. And let's not forget to mention, Joe, that you mentioned that was 10 in a row, and then
Whammy.
Gave up a double.
Big whammy.
Murphy 0 for 2. And Tommy with a kick save. It pops right back to him on the top of the mound. How about that play? Runner to third, 2 outs.
I saw this once in Cirque du Soleil, but they weren't playing baseball.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, it was. Skate save.
Yeah, I just hope that didn't catch him running on the bone. You always hope he goes catch you off the bottom of the foot. But he'll take the out. He's got a big one left there at the plate.
David Wright is hitting everything. Ike Davis on deck isn't.
But going back to your point, Joe, with these last 3 guys, that's what you want to see. You know, you want to see these guys, particularly these 3 guys that are pretty young in age and experience together. You want to see them start feeding off of one another's great starts.
Minor went 7 1/3 innings with just 99 pitches and 2 outs. 2 hits, I beg your pardon. Beachy, 103 pitches, 3 hits, 1 unearned run in his 7 innings yesterday. As McCann, a good stop.
I'll say.
And tonight, Tommy Hansen's through 5 2/3 with only 1 run. Excuse me, 4 2. Oh yeah, he's through 5 2/3 with.
You were right. Trust yourself. Trust yourself.
Trust your stuff, Chip.
There we go. Now they'll go ahead and walk right intentionally and take care of, or try to take care of Ike Davis.
I like this move. I was concerned that they were going to try to figure out a way to get him out on a 2-0 count. But obviously they were pitching around him.
Davis 0 for 2 tonight, 4 for 34 for the year.
Likes to pull the ball. He's grounded to second, grounded to first. He's got a hole to work with on the right side. Eric having to hold right on because he'll steal a base. His swing is so long right now. He actually kind of winds up with his swing. I mean, a lot of guys will do something to get their hands started, but he is moving them back, down, up, and then it is so long. Another good stop. McCann is stealing bases. He's going first to third. He's made 2 good quick move stops back there.
Yeah, and going back to Tolley, you see the difference in Mac's approach trying to block that ball compared to what his approach has been back there. Mac's much more textbook.
Now 2 balls and a strike.
That's not the easiest type of guy for Tommy to be facing right here. You know he's struggling, but you know he pitches predominantly off his fastball. You don't want him to run into a fastball, so you tend to go a little bit more to your breaking stuff.
He does again. Now it's even 2 2.
That's 3 straight curveballs now, so maybe try and fool him with a fastball up and in, maybe, or try and go one more time with a curveball that's a little bit further down.
You know, up in the zone, actually up and out of the zone would be a good spot.
Breaking ball hammered deep right. Ike Davis hits a 3-run homer, and the Mets take a 4-1 lead.
Ball right in the middle of the plate.
So the second homer of the year for Davis, and strategy to walk David Wright backfired.
Still the right move. You just got to execute a little bit better on the guy you're trying to get out. I don't think anybody's going to argue that you strategically take the bat out of David Wright's hand, but it's like we talked about, the 4th curveball in a row, and when you're trying to throw one for a strike, you run the risk that he's going to run into one, and he did.
Now Jason Bay behind in the count, a ball, 2 strikes.
It's almost like if you knew that was the pitch you wanted to try and get him out on, and you got to do something to elevate his eyes a little bit, maybe throw that fastball up and in or up out of the zone, knowing that you're just going to change his eye level a little bit and come right back to it. But when you're throwing 3 in a row and then the 4th one's in the zone.
Broken bat roller. Wilson at short has to hurry. And he gets paid by an eyelash at first. New York scores 3 times on 2 hits. Ike Davis hits a long home run into the seats in right. Just like that, the Mets lead 4-1 in the 6th. Start this year, but he hits a long 3-run homer to give New York a 4-1 lead. So time for the Braves bats to get busy. Down 3 runs now. The 2, 3, 4 spots are coming up, starting with Martin Prado. Martin is 0 for 2, 2 groundouts so far in the game. Braves have seen Dylan G a lot. They have not been able to solve him too frequently. And tonight only 3 hits. Murphy gobbles it up at second. 1 out. Here's Chipper. Murphy will charge this time at second.
Come back.
Chipper said when he first came back that he was pleased with his right-handed swing, but a little bit concerned about left-handed because he wasn't sure if he could catch up to good fastballs. And even in a fastball count there 2-0, that pitch seemed to have a little life to it, maybe some sinking action on it, but he was a little late on the swing too.
Six straight retired by G, including 3 straight ground ball outs to second. Now the Mets shift for Brian McCann. Brian has a single, a run, and he's lined out to short. Line drive to the shortstop came on the first base side of second base, and handcuffed Tejada made the play for the first out in the 4th inning. Plate, 3 balls and a strike. High fly ball, shallow center. Heiss is there, and that retires the side. G keeps momentum in the Mets dugout after 6. 4-1, New York in front. Trails the Mets by a 4-1 score in game 1 of our series. Time to check in again with Beth.
All right, guys, I've got another question for you. Jim Harrell wants to know if the pitcher is responsible for an error and the runner eventually scores, is that an earned run?
And the answer to that is no, it's an unearned run. Here's a case in point. The Mets' first run in the 3rd inning. A bad throw by Tommy Hanson on a pickoff, moved a runner to second base. He was then bunted to third and scored on a ground out. That run charged to Tommy, but an unearned run, even though he's the one that made the error.
An error is an error. I don't know why everybody's so mad when the pitcher makes the error. Why do you want to punish him more?
It's his fault.
I understand that, but it almost has the connotation that the pitcher might have done it on purpose, so therefore he can get an unearned run. How about this? I'll make a.
You're gonna make me an offer.
Are you noticing just a bit of sensitivity about this, Joe?
Of course, I'll make you an offer.
Okay.
If we're going to call that an earned run, then when a pitcher makes a pitch and there's a pop-up somewhere that should be an out and it's not caught, then that's an error and an unearned run. The hitter, the guy loses it in the sun.
Okay, sun. I'll go with you on sun.
If he loses it in the sun, then it's an unearned run.
Okay.
Made a good pitch, should have been an out. Not my fault. The sun was in the way.
While those two are rewriting the rule book, Duda flies deep toward left, and Martin Prado on the warning track. An awkward route, an awkward landing, but he makes the play for the first out.
And you don't even have to score the error on the individual. Just put it in the team error bracket. Make a new bracket. Team error.
I understand.
Unearned run.
I just think that if you charge that as an earned run, in this case to Tommy, then it makes pitchers more conscientious about working on their fielding, throwing to the bases accurately.
You're suggesting they don't do that?
I'm saying they're non-athletes. I've told you that before.
Wow, my first game of the year, and we bring out the non-athlete right away.
Strike one to Tolle. I think he's been waiting all winter to say that, to be honest with you.
I know he has. He's been saving it up.
Couldn't very well say it to Murphy.
He was a non-athlete. They had to find a position for him to play. The one they signed him for, he wasn't very good at.
See, that's what you do, though, when you're a good athlete. You have the ability to move around and play a lot of different places, and they just settled on one in center field.
So you're saying the starting shortstop's not as good an athlete as the guy on the bench that can play 7 positions?
Probably not.
Okay. 2-2 count here.
And Tolle bounces one off the dish. Tommy can't get it. A glove. The second straight game. Fields falls to the turf, throws it off the screen in front of the Braves dugout. Tolle will reach with a 1-out infield hit. All or nothing play for Ugla.
Just out of the reach of Tommy, and this almost the identical play that Dan threw away a couple of games ago. Very difficult play. It'll go as a base hit, I believe.
It was.
Yep.
Home plate's taking a beating, and I think that's the 3rd or 4th one that's done that.
Yeah, and you're right, Joe. That was 2 games ago, not yesterday. My mistake. But unlike 2 days ago, infield hit this time goes to Tolle, and Neuenhuis is up. He was the man at first base when Tommy committed the throwing error. Came home on Tejada's groundout, tied the game.
Get the first base coach off the field. Another little peccadillo.
I agree with you there. I mean, if the guys aren't smart enough to know the signs, then that's your problem.
Get off the field. You have no place on the field.
Good play for Brian. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
What if the first base coach misses it? You know, what if he's wrong? And he's whispering in your ear.
I'm pretty sure that when you go into the dugout and say it's not my fault, the first base coach told me I'm stealing, that Terry Collins is going to say, well, that's your fault for not knowing the signs.
2-2. Line over short and into center field for a base hit for Neuenhuis. Activity has begun in the Braves bullpen. Christian Martinez, he is up and throwing, as Hansen now at 99 pitches and trailing in the game by a 4-1 score. Get your tickets for the Braves Ultimate Kids Day, Sunday, April 29th here at Turner Field. Bring the family out to cheer on the Braves and take advantage of great activities for the kids like a pregame parade, free Scouts Alley games, and free access to the Braves Museum. Visit Braves.com/tickets or call 800-745-3000 and get your tickets today. April 29th, we will feature the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's the 3rd game of a 4-game series with Pittsburgh. And the first home series in May. We'll get our first look at the Philadelphia Phillies, who come in for 3 games.
It's a late arrival for them by comparison.
Phillies are in San Francisco tonight. Washington and Houston tied 2-2. Here it's 4-1 Mets. And G, another bunt. And he lays down another beauty. Chipper with a bare hand. And G is second sacrifice in this game. Second and third of the runners now with 2 outs. And the top of the New York order is coming up. Georgia Power customers get a free in-home energy audit performed by an energy expert from Georgia Power. Learn ways to save money and energy around your home. To schedule an in-home energy audit, go to georgiapower.com.
You mentioned the Phillies. They played at home yesterday and then had to fly across the country, play tonight in San Francisco. The Braves have a similar trip in August, midweek. A night game, though, in Washington, D.C., and a night game the next night in San Francisco.
That'll be fun.
I feel a cold coming on in August.
I'll be comfortably nestled in my bed that night.
We'll call you when we get there. How's that
Please,
sound?
yeah, let me know that you're safe, would you please? I'll get it in the morning when I get up and take the kids to school, or hopefully it'll be summer. I'll be sleeping in.
1-0 to Tejada. And that's a strike. 1-1 your count.
Well, it's another big at bat right here. You want to have a chance to come back and win this game. This is a huge out to get right here. You got to keep it at 4-1.
He's had 3 good at bats against Hansen tonight after coming in 0 for 7 against him. Lined out in the first, hit the ball sharply to Jack Wilson in the third, and then doubled in the 6th.
McCann can't find it. And a run is in. Tolley scampers home on a wild pitch. Neuenhuis to third. Now a 2-2 count.
Brian did everything he could. Shifted out there in front of it. Wasn't trying to catch it, but it just skipped right off his chest protector.
Fly ball toward left. And that will retire the side. Mets pick up another run on a Tommy Hanson wild pitch. 7th inning stretch. Time to get some runs. Braves down 4. Braves have some work to do. 7th inning stretch is over. Dan Uggla is in the batter's box. Dylan G looking for his first victory of the season. Leads by a 5-1 score. And there's a good start. Bay plays very deeply in left. And it'll be a long single for Dan Uggla on the first pitch of this 7th inning. Jason Hayward's 2 for 2 and 10 for his last 20. cut. 2 balls and a strike. Ivan Hernandez has joined Christian Martinez in the Braves bullpen. Pitcher's spot lurking on the lineup card in the Atlanta 7th.
Oh. Well, that's an at-bat changer. Right on the edge. Got the call. Mike Everett's been very generous tonight, but instead of 3-1, it's 2-2.
Back to the mound.
Catcher's interference.
To Tejada for 1. Up, you're right. Catcher's interference. That's the second time that's happened to Jason Hayward this year. The first turned into a triple.
And it was Josh Tolley.
Didn't mean to interrupt you, sir. Sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. I didn't see the umpire. I was following the path of the ball. So charge Tolley with an error. Hayward's at first base.
Jason was looking back right away. Mike Everett called it right away. Watch the catcher's glove get waffled here with the bat.
Well, that changes things, doesn't it? First and second for Atlanta. Nobody out. Hinsky up. And Dan Warthen, the Mets pitching coach, out to talk about it.
Their bullpen's busy. Lefty and a righty. Tim Burdick and Bobby Parnell loosening up. Parnell on your right. Burdick on your left.
Well, a long one here. And Braves are right back in this game. It's 5-1 New York. Eric Hinsky hit a rope last time up that Davis speared at first. And he's down a quick strike. As Tom mentioned, Tom Hart, that is. Eric Hinsky, the last bench player to get a start for the Braves. He's in there for Freddie Freeman tonight. Freeman able to pinch hit if needed here in the late innings. And 1-1.
Eric Hinsky's numbers are always going to be better average wise with runners on base. He's used to coming off the bench when people are in scoring position to pinch hit.
Took it low. 2 balls and a strike.
That's where you don't want to be too over anxious if you're Eric. You throw him that sinker, make him get it up where you can drive it.
And bent around the plate.
Never had a chance. Sherwin Williams didn't get to paint any corners on that one. At least Dylan G didn't.
I'm surprised by that pitch selection right there.
What's he thrown out, Tommy?
Well, the rule of thumb is if he threw it 2-1, he's going to throw it 3-1. But I would think in this case where he's really looking for a ground ball, he'd go back to that sinker.
Ooh. Lucky there. Fastball belt high.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Very economical night for Dylan G. High fastball gets Hinsky.
Up the ladder on that one. A little higher than the one before.
Well, Jack Wilson hit it about as far as you can and not be rewarded last time up. Jason Bay took one back over the fence in the Braves' 5th. Jack has the Braves RBI tonight, and he's swinging the bat well. Let's see what he can do with 1 out. Great play by Jason Bay to take away what would have been the go-ahead run for the Braves. Robs Jack Wilson of a homer, and that's our Toyota play of the game. Slow roller. Tough play for G. Long throw, and Davis with a nifty move at first makes the play for the second out. Runners move up to second and third. And Tommy Henson's spot due next.
A very athletic play.
See, I didn't want to go there, but you're right. Tough play. Tough play for him to make right there. And fielded it cleanly, got himself in a good throwing position, made a good strong throw.
Night is complete for Tommy Hanson. 5 runs in 7 innings. And he'll give way to Juan Francisco, who will pinch hit. Juan 0 for 3 as a pinch hitter this year, and 2 for 12 overall.
What we've seen of Juan so far is that he does like to swing the bat. He's not up there to try and draw a walk here with first base open. Anything middle of the plate in, he's going to be going after it.
Like that, but foul. It's 1-1.
And G's still throwing hard. His top end tonight was about 93, and I think that pitch was 92. Hanging by the hair of his chin here.
That had some movement. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, there's that fastball that he got the call earlier in the game on, and that one he didn't get that where he wanted, and Francisco's flinched on it a little bit, so it'll be interesting to see if he thinks he's still got more room in there and tries to go back in there. Doesn't look like he will.
Juan might like to have that pitch back to one before, but he didn't pull the trigger on.
I know a lot of times as a pitcher, when you're trying to go in and you throw it middle in, maybe almost even down the middle, and you see a guy flinch, you think, boy, oh boy, I got all kinds of room to go in there. But obviously with a guy like this at the plate, you don't want to make a mistake in there and make it a 1-run game.
Francisco chased a face-high fastball. And Dylan G is out of 7th inning trouble. 5-1 Mets. 2 innings of baseball left. Brought to you in part by Sherwin-Williams, by Toyota, and by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Tom Hart at Turner Field, where the Mets lead the Braves 5-1 as we head to the top of the 8th inning. Game 1 of this 3-game set between the Mets and Braves. Let's take a look at the Jamison Inn upcoming pitching matchup tomorrow. Johan Santana against Delgado, and Wednesday knuckleballer R.A. Dickey takes the hill against Jair Jurgens on the air at 11:30 with a noon start. Chip.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Yeah, we got to sleep fast on Tuesday night. A business fan special on Wednesday, then we hit the road, make our way to the desert Southwest in a date with the Diamondbacks. The AT&T call to the bullpen answered by Livan Hernandez.
His first work in a week.
And he breaks Murphy's bat. Chipper to his left. 2 pitches, 1 out. Good to see Chipper moving around all right after all the knee issues he was facing at the start of this home portion of the schedule.
It's going to get better and better. Just getting that fluid out of there helped a lot.
David Wright bats. Showed you all the great numbers that David Wright and Chipper Jones put up at their respective positions for their respective clubs. David Wright, 3 RBIs away from tying the Mets all-time franchise RBI record. He has 730. Darryl Strawberry has 733, and that's most among Mets.
That's a ton of RBIs for Mike Piazza, too, who didn't play that many years there.
Yeah, he wasn't there that long.
One ball, 1 strike. Mets have an option on David Wright for next year, but he is a potential free agent if they don't exercise that option. Another ground ball to the left side. This one to Jack Wilson, who unloads quickly.
And that brings up Ike Davis, who had the big blow in the 6th inning, a 3-run homer, and it was on the 4th curveball in a row. This is the sequence. Put some good pitches down to Davis early.
There's the one. The last one got caught not only too much of the plate, but too high in the zone as well. And that's the risk you run when you're going to throw 4 in a row like that. And I'm sure Tommy was trying to get it down and into the dirt a little bit and get him to chase it. But after seeing 4 in a row, he didn't miss that one.
So Davis, who didn't have a homer since May 9th before cracking one yesterday, has one in his 2nd straight game, and it was a game changer for New York, giving the Mets a 4-1 lead. They now lead 5-1 with 2 outs. Ground ball to Dan Uggla. Good work for Livan Hernandez. 3 ground outs. Top of the order coming up for the Braves. Best news of the night is that Dylan G's out of the ball game. The Mets are going to take him out, bring on John Roush. You know the old saying, fellas, familiarity breeds contempt. That certainly would be the case for the Braves offense against Dylan G.
He did it again. He got some run support, though, late that really made it a little bit easier for him to experiment some, if you will, when he was in that tight jam last inning. But the Mets bullpen, while it got off to a great start, has scuffled a little bit lately.
Well, yeah, and it's a tale of a couple of batters or a couple at bats for each pitcher. Tommy Hanson wasn't able to make that one big pitch that he needed, and Dylan G was, and that's kind of the difference in the game right now.
And Joe's right about the Mets bullpen. They were very, very stingy when the Braves saw them at the start of the season, but bases on balls have been a problem for that group since we saw them at Citi Field. Let's see if Michael Bourne can start something here in the 8th, and he's promptly ahead 2-0.
Walks per 9 innings, as you said, Chip. First 3 games, not a problem. Been a big problem lately.
15 of them in their last 17 1/3 innings. Leadoff hit for Bourne on a 2-0 pitch. There's the start in inning number 8. Martine's coming up. Once again, congrats to our pal John Smoltz. He'll be inducted into the Braves Hall of Fame on June 8th. We hope you join us for the Hall of Fame luncheon at the Omni Hotel. Members of the 2012 Braves team and Braves Hall of Famers will be on hand, and all guests will have a current or former Braves player or coach at their table. Call 404-614-2310 for more information or to order your tickets today. Stopped by Tolley. That event is one of the highlights of every baseball season, and Joe does such a great job emceeing that event. It's always great to see the emotion of the inductees and all the Hall of Famers get back together and celebrate the great history of the Atlanta Braves here in sweet summertime months.
It's always good to see the guys. I think that's the most fun, is to see how many people come back.
1 strike to Martine. 1-2. Terry Collins knows that there's some thunder coming up on the lineup card. His club leads 5-1. And a fly ball toward right. Duda and Prado played well. And Martine is 0 for 4 in the game. Here's Chipper.
He was 2 for 9 against Roush in his career with a homer. Of course, did not see him in New York when he was still on the disabled list.
Foul ball by Chipper, strike 1.
Roush looks like he ought to throw about 1,000 miles an hour. He doesn't when he throws hard enough, but it's that downward tilt that provides him with a lot of leverage against hitters when he does throw his fastball over the top.
Funny how a guy that size that can't throw 100 miles an hour, and then a guy Billy Wagner's size can.
Pedro Martinez.
Yep.
Compare the two.
High fly to right. He just missed it. Duda shy of the track. 2 down for Brian McCann.
High fastball, too. He got to it, but just under it a little bit.
There's been a few pitches tonight, it seems, for the Braves batters that have been up in the zone that they've either swung and missed or just haven't been able to do anything with it. And it's got another one of those old sayings: if you're going to hang a pitch, hang it high enough that they can't do much with it. And I think that was one right there. Chipper, if that thing was a quarter of an inch further down, he would have hammered that into the bleachers.
Brian McCann takes a strike.
You're right, Tommy, because to get out of that jam last inning, G made 2 good pitches going up out of the zone to get Hinsky and Francisco.
Bourne's running, swing and a miss. They don't contest the steal. That's Michael's 3rd of the campaign. Takes away the force play. But McCann down to his last strike in the 8th inning.
There's another one there. Just keep an eye on Tolle, the catcher. When he gives that target, see if he comes up out of his crouch a little bit. Runner at second's got them all bum-fuzzled.
Randall Delgado, Johan Santana here tomorrow night. Jurgens and Dickey on Wednesday afternoon. Nobody's covering third, so Michael Bourne's going to just move up 90 feet with the shift on. That's an easy advance. Now a ball in the dirt might steal you a run.
That really helps him with the signs, too. Heads up play by Michael.
That will go down as the easiest stolen base in Michael Bourne's career. Into the shift. Murphy plays it off his chest, but has time with McCann running, and that will retire the side. Michael Bourne with a leadoff hit, 2 stolen bases. He's left stranded after 8. New York leads game 1 of the 3-game series. They've beaten the Braves 3 times already this year. And Livan Hernandez back to work in the 9th inning with Jason Bay set to start things off. Livan had a good 8th inning, 3 groundouts.
Must be something about the Mets, Chip, because the Braves are 0 for 7 tonight with runners in scoring position, which is kind of what we saw up there all weekend. when the season opened.
Bay scalds one to center field and deep, and that one's not coming back. Broken right ring finger, no problem with that pitch. Bay's second homer makes it a 6-1 Mets game.
Well, two guys who have really been struggling, and certainly struggled in that series in Atlanta. Davis and Bay were a combined 2 for 20 in the 3 games in New York, and they've both hit homers tonight. They're coming around.
Well, remember, a lot of folks around baseball did not pick the Mets to be a club that could compete for a National League Eastern Division title. Terry Collins and his players obviously don't believe that. But from the opening bell, Joe, Terry Collins told you that he really thinks his lineup can do some serious damage in the National League this year.
He likes his lineup. He would like to have a little more depth and some flexibility on his bench to give some guys days off. He thinks he's got a good balance, left-handed and right-handed.
Lucas Duda into center. Bourne's got it, 1 out. Well, the Mets started play tonight just a half game behind the Nationals. Washington's winning again tonight, 6-2 over Houston. Washington could go to 8-3. The Mets, if they hang on and win this one, would go to 7-3.
They don't have a ton of speed after losing their center fielder Torres, but Wright can run. It's a stolen base once in a while. They're only 1 for 4 in stolen bases so far, and that's last in the National League.
A base hit on a breaking ball to Tolle. He's 2 for 4 tonight. And hey, their rotation doesn't get the accolades of, say, the Braves or the Phillies or the Nationals, certainly. But that guy, R.A. Dickey, a guy with a trick pitch, can make things very tough for your hitters. Johan Santana looked great in his first game back on opening day. Braves really struggle with G, and man with the new nose, Jonathan Neese, is pretty tough too.
There's a surprise team or two every year in baseball, and I guarantee you those guys in the Mets dugout are saying, why not us this year? And you never know. Like we talk about, whether this lineup's going to hit some home runs. They're going to strike out a lot, but they're going to run into some home runs, and that always helps.
Check swing. Hinsky had a good angle, and on the transfer, Wilson drops the baseball. Braves do force Tolle for the second out. Neuenhuis is aboard with 2 down. And Mike Baxter is going to pinch hit for John Roush. Pitching of G, a big story for New York tonight. Last year, the Mets were 26th in baseball in home runs. They've hit 2 big home runs tonight. Mike Davis and Jason Bay, that gives them 11 home runs for the season.
And one of them a 3-run shot at a crucial time in the ball game when it was still tied 1-1.
One and 2 to Baxter. Right down Peachtree for a called 3rd strike. Jason Bay hits a solo homer to lead off the 9th inning. And Ugla goes to work in the bottom half. Ninth inning for the Braves. They need 5 to tie, 6 to win. It's happened before in this ballpark. Let's see if Ugla and the Delta Airlines on deck batter Jason Hayward can get something started in inning number 9 against the lone lefty in the Mets bullpen. That's Tim Burdick.
He's not given up a run yet in his first 3 games. Total of 2 innings. Left-handed specialist primarily, but he'll get an opportunity to pitch a full inning here. They're only lefty in the bullpen.
A lot of sinkers and sweeping sliders.
And something to be encouraged about for the Braves is their work of late against left-handed starting pitching. They've won their last 3 outings against lefties. They'll get a look at a good one tomorrow. Johan Santana is going to pitch the middle game of the series for the Mets, so maybe a chance for the bats to tune up against Burdick. Ugla 1 for 3 tonight. And 0 for 3 in his career against Burdick. It's really interesting to see how different teams defend the Braves offense. We saw Milwaukee shift with 3 defenders on the left side of the infield. Mets don't do that with Burdick on the mound.
And against Ugla, if they were going to shift, they'd do it with a lefty.
Two balls, no strikes. And now 3-0. Popped up. Neuenhuis gallops in center. He's got it. And that'll retire Ugla to start the Braves' 9th. Coming up on Braves Live, presented by AT&T, we'll check in with Freddie Gonzalez, the Braves skipper. We'll have his post-game press conference. We'll get sound from the locker room. And we'll have highlights of our first game of this series between the Braves and the Mets. It's gone New York's way tonight. They lead 6-1. Here's Hayward. Two more hits for Jason tonight. Two singles. He's stolen a base. He's reached on catcher's interference. On 3 pitches, Hayward's retired for the second out.
One more out would be a 4-for-4 for the Mets this year against the Braves. Last 17 meetings head to head, the Mets have won 11 of them, and they've had the better of it in every category, especially in the ERA.
Yeah, that's a surprising number there.
And they've got 6 runs tonight, 5 earned.
Final hope for the Braves, Eric Hinske. And he's down a strike. It's 0-1. Now the Braves down to their final strike. That's swept outside. 2-2. And Hinske's down swinging. And the New York Mets are a perfect 4-for-4 this year against the Braves. They win game 1 of the series in Atlanta tonight. Final score, New York 6, Atlanta 1. Back with more from Turner Field after this.